Chris will be jumping in at some point, and Craig, it's his birthday, and he messaged apologizing and saying that his wife selfishly decided to take him out for dinner, so that's why he's not here. But yeah, like we'll leave it a couple minutes to see if anyone else jumps in. But in the meantime, the main aim of this call is essentially to kind of get to know you guys, get to know the community, then just kind of like go through how it's going to work over the course of the next 8 weeks, how to get the most out of it, because this is very much a course where if you run to us and put in the effort and are willing to ask questions and get stuck in, you will get more from this course than what you paid for tenfold. But it's so easy to hide in courses like this. Just do the pre-recorded stuff and then just kind of like, I'm not sure about questions, I don't want to seem stupid, and then you don't get anywhere with it. Like, for example, I'll wait till he's finished his whatever. What's for dinner? Well, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. No, I'm on post-workout meal currently. I've got cereal and protein shake.
Nice. Yeah.
Are we related, Will?
Sorry? Yeah.
Are we related?
I
didn't realize we had two of the same surnames. There we go. Yeah, so you've obviously spoken to a number of people that are in the full SMU mentorship, I presume, Will, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken a lot to a few different people. Kane's one that I've spoken to a fair amount.
What's the biggest bit of feedback you've got when you've heard about what we do here?
I think it's the confidence building that it presents. I mean, I think for me, like, I'm very reluctant to put a product out because the service and I guess not the knowledge, but the confidence of my ability is a big limiter. So by systemizing that, for me, I think it's going to be a big thing.
Nice, yeah, and that's essentially what we're aiming to do. And not only that, as I said, like a lot of the guys that if you speak to any of the guys that are in the full SMU program, the biggest thing is care, right? I will generally go overboard on this if you make the most of it. So to start off with, well, as people are filtering in, let's go through a little bit of essentially a meet and greet. So I'll start off with Will. Say who you are, who is it that you help, and what do you want to get for the next 8 weeks? I know you kind of alluded to it just then, but run us through those 3 things.
Yeah, so obviously I'm Will. I generally speaking coach men looking for fat loss results more than anything. Got a keen interest in sort of biomechanics and the way the body moves. But for me, I think obviously a big thing for me is just developing the knowledge and obviously I think not necessarily developing the knowledge, but harnessing the knowledge. I think just building upon what I know and being able to relay that to my clients.
Nice. Why men?
Just because that's what I resonate most with. I think having been and still going on a fat loss journey myself, I think that's a big thing for me. I want to be able to empower those around me.
And how lean do these men want to be? Are we looking for like, holy shit, that's amazing results? Or you're taking people who maybe have gone through diets before? Like, what is it you're looking to achieve with these people?
I mean, generally speaking, I think more than men on the upper end of the limit, and not necessarily wanting to get thick skin lean, but just trying to, get to a good composition, a healthy composition for the average male, I guess. I mean, obviously, I do want to venture down the route of obviously looking at what transformations I can create, but that's not the intent at this point.
Cool. And how long have you been in the industry now?
So I've done one-to-one coaching for the past 5 years. A combination of one-to-one online and small group personal training. So
nice. That's a good amount of experience to pull from. And the aim of this, and this is why I'm asking sort of follow-up questions, is just to kind of for each use, just kind of delve into why and the rationale behind what you want to do. Why is it you resonate with those kind of people? Because this course isn't necessarily, well, hopefully we will teach you some stuff. The aim of this course is to take the knowledge you already have and be able to kind of really think about it, brainstorm with me and the other people in this group, and package it in a way that cuts down your setup time, improves the confidence in what you do, and then to throw in an analogy I used on Instagram the other day, like salt baying almost a little bit of personalization. Like the way I always think about this is that if you, and touch wood you never do, but if any of you ever had to go into open heart surgery, right? Would you want a doctor that had years worth of experience and 1,000 of these and now had learned how to do the perfect surgery and he could do it the same and replicate it almost every time? Or would you want the open heart surgeon that kind of goes, well, this heart's an individual and I can't have a cookie cutter surgery, so I'm just going to make it up as I go along and hoping it works? And that's what people are doing with their coaching practices. If I got all of you to write a training program on a Sunday, we caffeinated you up, we filled you full of cool education, we went to some of the mechanic stuff, Will, that you love, and we told you to write a year's worth of training, you'd probably write some of the best programs of your life. But if you've got 50 check-ins to do and a client 31 needs a new program, is it going to be a botched rush job? And we want to make sure no one gets that, right? So how do we create something when we're fresh and we're motivated based on our years of experience, and then learn how to personalize that for the individual rather than starting from a blank page? Some of the things that what spawned Signature Systems as a course is I started this as a purely education company, like doing what everyone else does. Right? I never set out to be a niche building company. It was exercise mechanics and functional nutrition and thyroid and like nerd shit. But what I found is that a lot of people came to me were overwhelmed with being burnt out with program design. Like, put a 1 in the chat if you felt at any point burnt out with writing programs. And for the people that have, in a couple of words, put in the chat why you think that was. What burnt you out? Or feel free to unmute if you want. That's easier.
Yeah, I think for me, it was like, I just got on repeat. I was doing the same sort of style of program, same base exercises over and over again, and wasn't providing enough variety.
Too much variety of clients back to back with no pre-planning. So variety of clients or variety of options?
I think just when face-to-face PTing, just sometimes it was about the volume, and you just back to back, you know, so you don't have time to plan it. I mean, you kind of give good sessions, I think, but I think just you kind of go through the motion and then you get burnt out. You're just churning out volume, and then
yeah, 100%. And there's a number of things there that's really important, right? It's like how many decisions that you need to make your program design, right? It's like, you know, when you give client macros and you feel overwhelmed and you don't ever track any macros and you don't follow your nutrition advice. This is the same thing a lot of coaches have for program design. They have every exercise in the world and a blank piece of paper. Where do I start? Whereas if you have the skeleton and the framework of, right, what is the stimulus? For some of you, it might be strength. For some of you, it might be hypertrophy, right? How do I build the parameters around that? Like if I had, the analogy I used the other day, if I told you to go outside now and find a person, didn't tell you what they look like, I didn't tell you what the name was, I didn't tell you what gender they were, you wouldn't find that fun. You'd be like, what the fuck, Simon? Where do I start? Whereas if we were playing a game of Guess Who, you'd probably find it fun because we create those parameters and create that framework. So if I gave you a certain pool of exercises that work well for the stimulus you're looking to achieve, then the fun bit, because rather than the admin of program design bogging you down, it becomes, where's the creativity? Okay, I'm doing a split squat. Is it front foot elevated? Is it rear foot elevated? Am I contralateral loading it? Am I ipsilateral loading it? That's the fun shit. Because it's like, oh, okay, how do I personalize it to the problems that this person has? Right? For example, Stephen being a physio, right? What's going to get me more into the rec fem? Rather than me like, oh God, what? There's a million exercises. Where the fuck do I start? Right? You become targeted in your approach. Cool. Stephen, I'm going to ask you the same question. So, who you are, who you help, and what you're looking to get from the next 8 weeks.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been a personal trainer for 12 years, last year and a half physio, and I work privately. Maybe 30% of my time is doing face-to-face PT. Nice. But I have a mix of clients. I tend to get a bit of referrals from the clinic.
Okay.
But predominantly when I worked in London, it was a mix, but I tended to find I don't know, I worked a lot more with females, maybe 70%. So that's what I kind of want to focus on online. Okay. Never really dived into the online stuff much. Done a course or two before, but just always kind of, I guess, like Will was saying, just not maybe felt confident to deliver it, and then it's online and you think, shit, what if they ask for a refund? And you know, I think generally face-to-face, great, no problem, but then face-to-face, obviously the scaling of it, working some more hours, and I think just if I can sort of create that same, you know, kind of connection with online training, then I can, I think it's kind of where I want to go. So yeah, I think I want to work with more busy parents, females.
So the main thing here is looking at creating an online product for, you're saying, busy parents, particularly mothers, I presume.
Yeah.
And are we looking at injury rehab? Are we looking at body composition?
Yeah, good question. Not really. No, I don't really want to go down that route, because I think if you start doing physio into it, then people start asking about their neck pain and back pain. You miss some red flag and you get sued. So not really. I mean, I don't want to sort of play on the physio side too much, but that's more, I think, just for, yeah, I don't really want to play in that. More the PT side, I think, just
Yeah.
because you
That
start.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's when you're looking at online as well, you can't know. What you can't know if someone's neck pain is the way they're sitting, their structure, their genetics, how they're lifting. The fact they just had a really bad fucking day and they're super stressed and the nervous system's just tightening the fuck out of everything. You know, you gather information as you go. And if you work from a body composition perspective and people pick up an injury, your experience could help them navigate through that.
Totally, yeah. I recommend they see a physio. What did the physio say? Great. That sounds like what we do already, exercise-wise.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I want to go with the course. I'm going to start trying to build some out, but not sure any content and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some important lessons from that. I think the first off is like whereas I think doing some one-to-one PT definitely it has an advantage for online. I think you'll struggle online starting online, right? Because seeing how people move, being able to get a coaching eye, being able to take people to failure, being able to understand what failure is. People put 1 rep in reserve in a program, and the client's 1 rep reserve is 25 reps in reserve, right? You don't understand when people start to slow down and how they respond. Or you don't really know, okay, I'm having some issues in my hip. Well, is that a rec fem thing? Is it a sartorius thing? Is it an internal rotation thing? Is it an external rotation thing? Right. And while you still don't know that if you're working online, you can kind of work it out if you've done a lot of one-to-one and go, I've seen this before. Let's try this, and it's probably going to work. The other thing I think is really important there is that while they're the same, they are 2 different skills. One-to-one is very much more than micro. Yes, you're thinking of someone's nutrition and long-term planning, but you're really thinking of where that foot's going on the split squat. Are they training hard enough? How do I modify this exercise? Yeah. Online training is more of the macro. It's where you're going to be in 3 months, 6 months, a year. Where's the planning with this? Because if we look at retention stats over my last 15-year career, 8 of it being a mentor, average retention should be around 6 to 9 months online. I think is quite a good batting average. And 12 months plus one-to-one. Now, if we think of why one-to-one coaching gets higher retention, there is a part of that. There is a more of a personal connection when you're with someone. But I think a lot of that is down to training. If you can make someone fall in love with the training experience, they're more likely to stay with you because it's more than just dieting. The problem with online is I see a lot of coaches and I review a lot of check-ins and they're talking about nutrition and life coaching stuff because that's the biggest lever when it comes to dieting. But if you don't speak training, if you don't think about where they want to be in 6 months with their training, if you don't try and improve on total tonnage and work on their execution, what happens when that fat loss goal is achieved? Why do they stay? They stay because they enjoy training and they're looking forward to what you do next with them. If when the dieting phase is over, there's nothing in their head, why stay? I've achieved what I've came for, right? And I had clients one-to-one that stay for 3, 4, 5 years. I don't take on that many online clients since I moved back and started the mentorship, but the people I do have been with me 2, 3 years for the most part, right? And that's because we focus on that training. And going into that sort of stuff that you mentioned there, Stephen, about that navigating that leap from one-to-one to online, this is something I've seen a lot and it's something I've very much felt. A lot of that comes from having that signature system because when you're one-to-one, you can be hands-on, especially you as a physio, right? You can test the shit out of everything. What's the active and passive range of the hip? What's the passive and active range of internal and external rotation? And you can go, I can build this perfect plan. And that's amazing. And your clients love you. And then online you go, shit, I can't do any of that. So it's like, how do I create something that allows me to build confidence? If everything's bespoke every single time with an online client, when you get a result, it might feel that you just got lucky because you've got nothing to refer back to. Put a 1 in the chat if anyone's had that experience. So they get a really good result with somebody and they don't back themselves. It feels like luck. I've had that tons. And part of that feeling is because I don't know why it worked. I threw shit at the wall and something stuck. What stuck? No fucking idea. So if we can get something where you can create a framework that you can kind of put someone through and it goes, I got Jane in great shape. Right. What did I do? Oh, I can look back and I did that and I did that and I did that. Right. I'm going to try that again. Oh, that also worked with Sally. And it worked with Karen. And I worked with Ruth. Oh, fuck. These things work. And then you show up better. And then you refine. Right. David, Scarborough number 2. Run us through who you are, who you help, and what is you want to get from this next.
I'm an England boxing coach, Thai boxing coach. Been a competitive fighter for 30 years and that.
Class.
I got injured and then it kind of pushed me in a different direction. So I got interested in injury and not being a physio or anything like that. What I enjoy and what I work with is pain clients. So people come to me when they're injured. I'm not a physiotherapist, and what I do is I find ways that they can work out without causing more structural problems and pain, and getting them doing something, so they're just sitting on the fence waiting to have physiotherapy, or still being able to do things that they enjoy. I've got quite a big clientele group. Some of them I've had for 10 years and I've still got them. And because I work in a boxing gym, I'm at two extremes. So I work with athletes, so I get them in tremendous shape for fights. And those guys are really easy to train because basically you tell them what to do. And if they want to win a championship, they'll do whatever it takes. They'll go out and run at 5 a.m. in the morning. They're not the hard clients. And then at the other extreme, I've got people that come to me, they're just purely for health. They're new to fitness. I enjoy working with those people. I love getting them out of pain. I love showing them what their capabilities are. I'm not a transformation specialist. I don't work with anyone for body fat loss. That's just like a secondary thing that happens when you clear their diet up and bring inflammation down.
Of course.
And where I want to get to is I want to have a crossover approach where I develop more of a hybrid program. So I give them the support one-to-one when they come into the gym, but I give more of the support, like you say, on the other stuff that they need to dial in, but more in a systemized approach. I've got no systems. Okay. So then I can give them that extra support without going through apps, because I hate apps. I've tried them. Yeah. And then when I'm ready and I come out the boxing gym, because I've got a lot of injuries, I've got broken neck, broken shoulder. Okay. I still train, I still do a lot of competition myself, like in those kind of environments. And eventually I'm going to be 50 in January. I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to retire from that, but I still love what I do, and I want to be able to develop the hybrid program. So when I'm ready just to go online, I can tweak it a little bit and go, that will work from the experience that I've got, but it's only going to work to that magnitude because it's online. So there's a lot of stuff you can't do. But bring that experience in, and then just be able to go, right, I've done it as a hybrid, and now I'm just going to close it off purely to onto online. And then maybe later on look at making it a bit more group orientated. Okay. Where obviously people go through the movements, but the exercises are more prescribed to them on the movement base. So it's not like everyone just does like, I don't know, a front-loaded squat, goblet squat. We take the squat pattern and we find what works for them, and then I'll have a different individual exercise, but it's more of a group PT model. So that's kind of where I want to get to with it.
I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm guessing here, because the boxing thing is what you've done for 30 years, you're pretty switched on with that, and you don't really need help to systemize that. You can do that in your sleep. It's the health movement side that we want to be able to sort of streamline and systemize. It's that sort of
find a way to get it out of pain. An online program, basically. So and then make it more supportive, that when people come to me, they train with you once a week or whatever, and then you got more, so they all go out and do their own stuff as well. So it's just not like a bit of paper and then they've got their workout on there and a couple of videos, and it's like, well, what am I doing? Where do I go from there? So it's adding more value to my clients, and then building more of a structure in the background as we go along, and then keeping everything all in one place, because I've got bits of paper and programs created and stuff all in different files. And I'm no good with a computer. I'm not very good with tech, so it'd be good to sort of understand Google Sheets and that kind of stuff and put things together.
Oh, bring that to the Tuesday calls, man. I'm pretty good at Google Sheets. We'll help you out for that for sure.
Perfect.
I think the big thing when it comes to this, and first off, right, leverage each other. We have a physio on this group, which should be able to give you incredibly valuable insight on this, probably better insight than I can give, right? Because he's done more in that side of the things. The way I would sort of like start to think about how you streamline getting people out of pain, especially if you want to stay within your scope of practice and not move into Stephen's scope of practice, is looking at, right, what is, like, if we had an order of importance here, was some of the tick boxes that we can do. What do we do first that helps the smaller stuff? For example, in your world, right? So, you know, sometimes you have a lot of physios go, it starts with the feet, or it starts with the rib cage and pelvis. I'm a rib cage and pelvis guy personally. But if we think about, for example, right, if someone's got this big anterior tilt to the pelvis. Now, I'm not saying that is bad, by the way. I want to clarify that hugely, because that could be genetics, that could be structure, that just could be their parents. It could be they're a big Afro-Caribbean woman, and they've all got a massive anterior tilt and a huge lordolic curve and a massive behind. But let's say someone's got this big excessive anterior tilt. Whether it's fixable or not, what's that going to do to someone's center of mass? It's going to push them this way. So now what's going to happen? They're going to do this, right? To come back over midfoot. Now to stop them falling back this way, they're going around this way. And it's so you see this thing goes up and down the chain. Now, if you could, and again, if anyone wants to try this, if I go big anterior tilt, right, try and bring your arm overhead. You're going to get a bit stuck. If I really crunch, try and bring your arm overhead, you're going to get a bit stuck. If I can extend, I'm going to find it much easier to get that range of motion. What that shows is that our posture, fixable or not, can influence our range of motion up and down that chain, right? So if we start to look at this, that if people haven't got any pain, you're finding exercises that work around what they currently have, own, and tolerate. Nothing wrong with an anterior tilt, but how do I find the squat pattern that works for that person? How do I find, if I haven't got good overhead range, right, for whatever reason, could be like genetic kyphosis, scoliosis, it could be issues like the space in the glenohumeral joint. How do I work with that? I lean the bench back on an incline, work with the overhead range they've got. But if people are experiencing pain, could we look at things like what's going to pull that? Let's see if anyone knows this from an anatomy perspective. Stephen, don't answer first because I know you probably do. If we have a pelvis here, right, that's going to do anterior tilt, what muscles are going to be able to pull this back this way?
Hamstrings.
Hamstrings, right? And what else we've got? We've got this big thing on the background.
Glutes.
Glutes. We've got glutes and hamstrings going to pull this way, right? What's going to pull up this way?
Rectus abdominis.
Rex abdominis, right? And what's this muscle that kind of goes through here and attached onto the spine?
Got me now. Not rectus femoris. No, that's coming off the front of the hip, isn't it?
Rex femoris comes here.
Yeah, tip L.
And then goes
trying
down
to
to
think
the
what's
knee.
there. Yeah.
We're going to be looking at the psoas.
Psoas.
So if we look at this anterior tilt the pelvis, right? We're going to see an overly lengthened psoas. We're going to see overly lengthened hamstrings, right? So we can get those things slightly work a little bit harder, a little bit stronger. That's going to have this force coupling. We're going to have these lower abs. And then we've got potentially got a rec fem here that could potentially be opened up, right? Because that's going to be in a shortened position. So that's going to be like why you would do things like split squats, couch stretches, stuff like that, right? So if we can solve that pelvis thing, and again, I don't want to say solve, make it seem like it's bad, but that's somewhere where you might start. You could also start looking at someone's diaphragm. Can they breathe, expand the rib cage?
Infrasternal angle and stuff like that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're looking to see if they're already in compression.
Yeah, infrasternal angle is interesting because that can be very much genetic basis, but like it's can they expand in this pump handle and can they expand bucket handle and
front to back, side to side, yeah.
Exactly. Right?
Okay.
Can they brace? If we can get those things sorted, you tend to find that things up and down the chain tend to solve themselves. Whereas if someone's got elbow pain and I just give loads of elbow drills, it might never go away. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? Whereas if I can go rib cage, pelvis, okay, that's all right. Still got the pain? Yes. Shoulder. Okay, still got the pain? Can the scap move? Yeah, still got the pain? Okay, now look at the elbow. Does that make sense?
It's working as a kinetic chain.
Yeah, that's what I'd start
so things that are stacked above and below could be the problem. What's in the middle?
100%.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I look at. Pain, right? If I anterior tilt my pelvis, what happens to my femurs?
They're squeezing inwards.
Yeah, exactly. Right, which is now going
to the tracking. So the tracking of the kneecap.
Yeah. Not only the tracking of the kneecap, but how much space now someone has in the acetabulum.
In the front of the hips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd start looking, and then if you can then build a phase one around ribcage pelvis, then we can expand out and look at where we go next with like scapular movement, right? And maybe at the knee, and then maybe then we go to extremities. That could be your system.
Well, I usually look at spine and hips. But that's only if someone comes in, they're presenting pain. So if it's just like movement problems, hopefully I'll get better under load as we train and we get better through time. But if someone goes, I've got an ouch movement, then what I do is I try and get away from that so they can train. And then we do a deep dive assessment to find out if there's 100%. Things that we can clear up and make things better. So that's the bit that I want to systemize because at the moment it's not.
Cool. So we'll go through that for sure. Colin.
Good evening, gents.
What's going, man?
Hello. Basically, I've been a PT 15 or so years, and I've also currently worked as a fitness manager in a school.
Okay.
So I have students coming in and training them and overseeing their development. But my sort of goals, well, I started off as PT, as one-to-one, then as I got headhunted to work for the school. So I'm doing sort of only a handful of PTs outside of the school. And I've taken on 1 or 2 PTs or clients online as well. So looking at going forward is to develop sort of a hybrid. so online and face to face.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm on the course now is after speaking with you a couple of months ago, I wasn't sure whether it going online and going to mentors and marketing side of things, but I then looked further into your development and your systems and the way you have approached things. And that's the information, it's the lack of sort of information that I've perhaps not followed up over the years, studied or did courses. So literally to find a system that will sort of different from what I'm doing at the moment, and then basically sort of having more value, adding more value to the client or the package that I do. So that's where I want to sort of get involved in this, because I thought that was a great idea of knowing more of the movements, etc., and the nutrition. And that's where I've been lacking. So that will be a good step forward for me. And then just sort of progressing and adding more value.
Like it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think with that stuff. So if I'm hearing this right, like there's this element of this hybrid thing here, but initially it's like looking at the current systems you've got and see where those weak links are, where those holes, and how well we can fill them.
Very much, yes.
Perfect. So I think this is what the course content, I don't know how far you've got through at the moment. We'll run through this in a second. Obviously, that will give you an overview of some of the things that kind of started and look through. And what's great about that course content, and again, I'll go through it properly in a second, is it'll kind of go, right, here is where I start. And over the course, at some point, all of you should get this point going, oh shit, I don't know much about that bit. You'll get that imposter syndrome feeling. There'll be certain bits in the training where you go, I get that. And then maybe like yourself, I start talking about nutrition strategy and you're like, oh, fuck, I have no idea what I'm talking about there. And that's the stuff we come to the live calls with. And that's why there will never, ever, whether it's this, whether it's full SMU, or whether it's anything I build in the future, where there will never be a completely pre-recorded course that isn't just a lead magnet. Because if you feel like that, that's where we've got something live to come and help you. So over the course, going through the content, as you're brainstorming ideas, if there's anything that you're unsure of, drop it in the Facebook group, drop me a message, come to the Tuesday calls. Those Tuesday calls are there to ask anything. If it's like, Simon, could you run me through calorie setup? Or what the fuck does thyroid do? Like, ask it, I'll answer it. Awesome, man. Paul, run me through who you are, who you help, and what you want for the next 8 weeks.
Hello. So I'm Paul, very, very new to the online coach game and personal training game. I would like to help, ultimately lads and dads over 30, not a lot of time, low on confidence, want to change something about their life, want to improve the life, confidence, mental health. Would love to help those sort of guys, because I went through my own sort of transformation myself after the birth of my first child. Let things go a little bit. Got very unhealthy, started running around after and thought, I can't do this anymore, I need to change something. Went through my own transformation, as I say, and I just want to give it back, because health and fitness, it's done a lot for me through the years. So I want to give back. As I say, very inexperienced. Would love more knowledge to give me more confidence. I can put myself across better. And out of this 8 weeks, I would love to develop a system where I can use it like time and time again, just to help people and change people's lives.
I think yours is an interesting one. I think yours is an interesting one. We'll use yours in the whiteboard in a second, because I think there's some interesting things we could go through there and use that as an example that we showcase what the rest of you can start brainstorming. One of the biggest things that I think will be very valuable for you, and this is the same if any of you have come into this industry from your own mental health struggles or own issues with food struggles, be very, very, very careful that you don't project your issues and track record onto your clients. If something was hard for you, don't assume that your clients won't like it. So essentially, what if you think about what is going to improve somebody's mental health, what's going to be the number one thing that's going to improve somebody's mental health in your program?
I'd say the training aspects. I'd say for me, like getting in the gym, shutting everything out, just working out.
Short term, long term, what's the most important thing?
Confidence.
How do you get confidence?
By improving how you feel and improving how you look.
Getting the results that the person paid you for. Right. And then this is the thing that I see a lot of people go into this mental health angle and they don't get results for people because they don't want to be the bearer of stress or negativity or uncertainty with their client, that they play it safe. They don't push.
I think there's a lot of people that prey on that as well.
100%.
And I want to be the person that people can rely on and trust to be able to get the results and improve life. Because as I say, there's a lot of people that prey on a lot of people's mental health to get money through the door, and that's just not me.
Put a 1 in the chat if you've gone through a particularly hard time in your life. And I'm pretty certain we're going to get a fucking lot of 1s here, right? And for the people that are going to put a 1 in the chat, because I don't think it's just Will and me, right? Most of the time, I would argue that the things that you did to get out of that hole weren't easy. There were big changes. They were graft. They were grind. Sometimes they were, but very rarely does big change come easily. So, like, sometimes you being the person to kind of go, look, there's a difference between empathy and letting somebody off. Empathy got to come with accountability. Empathy has to be assertive. So it's like, I appreciate how hard this is. I'm with you, but let's fucking go. Right? And that's the thing that I find that a lot now in this big, we need to make sure that everyone can see a crisp at all times, otherwise they develop an eating disorder. By the way, sorry guys, I'm not very PC. You'll learn that very quickly, right? Doesn't actually help anyone because you're just being that renter friend and you don't. And I don't think you are. I'm just saying that's the cautionary tale about that, because you don't want anyone else to feel that way, and you end up just being a little bit nicer. And it's a case of don't you have to be a dick or a drill sergeant. It's just like results have to stay forefront of your mind. That comes first. Them liking you kind of comes second, right? And you do a good job, you can achieve both, right? Chris, how are we? Looking very smart in the official uniform, man.
Literally,
I know your niche, but run us through it. Who you are,
yeah.
Who you help, and what you want for the next 8 weeks.
So I'm Chris. I currently operate Fit for Rescue.
Obviously,
I've had a chat to you, and you were the one that kind of got me onto it. So I've been in the fire service for nearly 20 years. I've been a personal trainer that I qualified through the fire service about 5 years ago. I've been doing fitness testing in the fire service as well as running my own personal training business on the side. I've mostly been PTing women, which was where my original online coaching started to head towards.
Yeah.
Had the chat with you, really sort of kicked it into place because obviously I was trying to sell something with very little kind of push towards what I can actually do in that sense. You know, where's the relationship? So actually, even though I'm quite good at the in-person stuff with women, it's getting that across online.
That's before you go into the next bit. I want to just jump in there a second, because that is huge, especially for people who have an online component to this, right? That's why the first bit on that whiteboard we're going to go to in a second is you. And I think, like, I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've worked with some of the biggest PT companies in the world. I've been given a lot of different people. I've worked with male, female, people who are deaf, people who have got scoliosis, people who have back pain, various injuries, autoimmune conditions, diabetes, thyroid disorders. I've worked with all sorts of people. But then when I came online, I was actually struggling with my marketing more than people have been in the industry 10 minutes. Why? Because someone that I was an accountant, then I became a personal trainer, can speak online to the accountants. They know the struggles they face, right? When you're in a gym, you're just competing with all the other people in your gym. You just need to be a better personal trainer and you have a bit of chat. When you go online, you're competing with everyone in the world, right? If you think of the personal trainers you look up to, people follow Paul Standel or Jordan Shallow or Vince Pitstick or Kassem Hansen or whoever you look up to in this industry, they're vying for the same clients as you. So I knew I could get Susan from Slough in shape, but I haven't got a fucking clue what makes Susan from Slough stay up at night and struggle. But I understand what you guys want, because what have I been doing for the last 8 years? Mentoring coaches. And I think that's the same thing as you. You could get women in shape. I'm sure we gave you all the women, you'd be fucking killing it. But you understand firefighters. So what do you want to get from this next 8 weeks, dude?
One of the things that kind of touched me with one of the points you put on one of the slides for this course
Hmm.
was literally taking out the guesswork of how I'm getting the results. Because even now, you know, since I started the new profile and everything like a couple of months ago, I've had some really good results, and obviously, ironically, the majority of them are female firefighters.
I knew that was coming.
But it's more, taking out some of the guesswork, having those systems in place to go, basically to repeat them. And go, well, I've done this time, that's really worked, and then doing those again, it's worked. So obviously that is for that. So that's what I'm looking for, really.
The biggest thing I would say to take from this is, one, make good use of the timeline document when you get to that part of the course, and then have frameworks for how you run things. So how do you assess your data? Make it the same every single time. There is a tick list, fat loss tick list that is in this course, but I have this for the SMU guys for everything. And it's like, if you can print something out or have it on your screen when you do check-ins, then whether it's check-in 1 or check-in 50, you're still going through that same framework. So that, 1, the quality never drops, and 2, it's repeatable. So like if there's something you do time and time and time again, to almost make an operations manual of how you do it, and then refine that over time. Lastly, I'm assuming JMC. Is this Ian? Or is this just a rap name? Is he there? He's not there. He may be going to get coffee, maybe going to get dinner. If he hasn't, he can come back and we'll go through some stuff. Okay, cool. So until we find out who that is, I'm assuming, I know Daniel and Craig can't make it, so it probably leaves it as Ian. So hi, I hope you can hear me. But I'm just going to pin my page now. I'm going to run you through essentially the big things of how the course is going to work. So hopefully all of you guys should have access now to the portal. And this is what you should see. So you should have the signature system side here. You should have the round table calls in here. And I'm right in saying, do you guys have the calorie calculator on here as well?
Yeah, mate.
Perfect. Anything else on the sidebar do you have the round table case study submission?
Say submission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, cool. So going through here, this is going to be the main course content. The aim of this is to, again, make you that sort of systemized coach. For example, right, we have in this early one, David, you mentioned having sticky notes everywhere and just like having those systems yourself. This first video could be very game changing for you, right? So this is going to be like, these first 3 is going to be very much focused on who are you as the coach? Who is the individual? How am I managing my diary? Do I know how to study, right? Why a signature system is important. And also looking at why training potentially is the answer of attention and why we need to start thinking longer term, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you fall into the trap occasionally of writing block to block. I do 4 weeks of training, and then at the end of 4 weeks, I do another 4 weeks of training. Yeah, I've been there, right? And the problem with that is, 1, if I've got a client that's got 2 or 3 goals, where on earth do I start with that? If someone wants big arms, I try and get a length and range, a mid-range, and a short range challenge all in one phase. And our sessions become 4 hours long. If we can take a step back and look at the, like, imagine we're in a parade, right? That's like being behind the parade and only seeing the back wall of people, right? If we can get on top of a building and look down at that parade, we can see where it starts and we can see where it ends. So this is where if you can zoom out, we can go, right, maybe in, let me let James in. Maybe we've got, someone wants to grow big fucking arms, right? And maybe I'll start with a length and range challenge. Why a length and range challenge? Well, we're often weakest at our most length and most shortened range and single joint movements. Length and range challenge of the biceps could also get a bit of a loaded stretch in the pec. It can also help us get into a little bit more shoulder extension. Then in phase 2, we can potentially look at shortened range challenges of the bicep, right? So we're training someone to get big arms, but we also can put someone in position where the serratus anterior is working, helping shoulder function. And then what do we do in phase 3? Big mid-range challenge, throw fucking load on there and peak. Now we've taken that goal, we've been able to zoom it out and makes our program design easier. And this is why periodization becomes really, really important. And if we can explain that to the clients go, fuck, you know, Colin's got this 6-month plan for me. I ain't, no worries, James. Like the Colin's got a 6-month plan for me, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to leave before 6 months, because you're always saying this is where we're going to be, this is where we're going to go, this is where we're going to review, right? Then after that, we're going to look at how to study. So when you build your systems, and we're going to go through the sort of like the process of how that SMU journey works, right? The problem is, if you don't have a system, you're just taking in information. Put a 1 in the chat if you felt overwhelmed about your study. You're like, there's so much shit to learn and I don't even know where to fucking start. I felt like that for years. You got psychology, you got like anatomy, you got mechanics, you got nutrition. Whereas if you've got a signature system, it's very easy to filter that information. So we're going to talk about how to study in this video, right? And how to like filter that information down. But if you have a system and you can kind of go, right, that bit of information, that works really well with female firefighters, I'm going to use that. This bit, it's great, but I don't know a female firefighter that has that problem, right? So I'm just going to park this over here. And you can take the relevant bits of information. We then run through the actual MADE coaching system. This is how I've helped most of my clients get in great shape. And then we start getting into the semantics of how we build out nutrition stuff, what approaches we use, how to understand nutrition, how to cycle nutrition. Same thing with training, and then the goal setting and timelines. If any of you have ever struggled with clients following your nutrition advice, goal setting and timelines are probably the reason why, more than the nutrition approach you chose. Coaches tend to like to blame the tools. It's keto. It's too restrictive. No one fucking follows it. Millions of people have got in shape via Atkins or low carb or keto. Millions of people have got in shape in high carb. A million people have got in shape with fasting. The nutrition approach wasn't necessarily the thing. It was a strong why. It was a strong desire, some level of urgency, and setting goals along the way, right? So if we can do that, we can make more approaches work. I'm going to be talking through that. I'm going to give you all the tools to do that, right? And then when we move into here, we're going to be talking about coaching to finish off. So we're going to talk about, does your signature system need things like an education portal? Education portals are really interesting, right? Because every coach gets the shiny object syndrome. I have an education portal, but you know why? Because my business is education. If you work with busy professionals, how many of them, after a busy day, they just want to spend time with a husband or wife? Do they want to jump on a call and listen to one of you talk about the exercise mechanics of the glenohumeral joint? No one gives a fuck. They just want it told, do this, belly goes away, right? So do they need that, or do they need simplicity? Do they need macros, or do they need something where they can just automate and follow it, right? So that will depend on your clientele, right? The people who David has got, who's maybe more into boxers, maybe really into their craft and want to learn about their craft, right? Someone else that deals with busy mothers probably isn't going to care. They just want to look good on the beach and not feel like the fat friend, right? So what can we give those people? And then we're going to be talking about how to prepare for your check-ins and how to conduct your check-ins. And that's what we talk about. For Chris, this is where you have that streamlined system, right, of how to run your check-ins. And then after that, we're going to finish off with the 3-point touch point system. Put a 1 in the chat if you, when it comes to touch points with your clients between check-ins, you sometimes don't know what to say. Like, it's like, hey, Steve, how's it going? This will give you a framework of how to do that, right? And it just gives you a starting point. So by the time you've got through this, then you should have enough ideas to submit your signature system to the Facebook group. At that, I will review every one of them, give feedback, and we'll refine it together. So that is the education side of this course. Give me a thumbs up in the screen if that all makes sense. Has anyone gone through a good amount of it? Has anyone got any light bulb moments already from this?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone 4 or 5 videos in so far, and I've definitely found that it's definitely the timelining for me has made a big difference. Good.
Glad to hear it. So like the next thing from that, perfect. Well done, Colin. And I know Colin's also dumped into some of the roundtable recordings. So the next thing that you're going to have is access to the roundtable. So every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we're going to have a live roundtable session. Now, this is a complete open lab session. This will be with you and some of the members of the full SMU program. So we're going to have a good community. We have people who've got all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of experiences helping each other out. Our aim on these calls is to help you know what the biggest problems are with your business and your clientele right now. What's the key things that you need to do this week? And anything you're struggling with, knowledge-wise, accountability-wise, systems-wise, we want to help you with these. So these calls, the first thing we're going to be doing is going to be saying, right, how many clients have you all got on the books? And this is a really good exercise for you to do weekly. It's so easy to end up getting complacent as a coach. It's so easy to kind of go, oh yeah, that person's doing well, or get so focused on what they need to do better that you never stop and look back and go, fuck, John hasn't lost weight in 9 weeks. I didn't even know. I was too busy just chatting about his dog, right? So go through that, knowing how many clients that you have on your roster, how many of them are on track to the target you set them. And if that doesn't come quickly, if you don't know what the target is you set them, that could be the next step. Get them on a call and set some target. So for some of you, that could be 0.5% to 1% of their body weight per week. If that's a fat loss goal, that's what we're going to be looking for. So if someone's 100 kilos, that's 0.5 kilo to a kilo. If someone's 80 kilos, it's 0.4 to 0.8. For David, it's not so much about body composition. It could be range of motion change. It could be strength change, right? So having something specific, because if you don't have a specific target with your clients, how do you know you're getting closer? How do you know you're making that progress? So some form of target, right? And then from there, we're going to say, right, how many are on track? How many are off track? And then our goal is to make sure you know what to do to get the people off track, up to standard, and the people that are on track, how do we make them your next sort of like game-changing result? And then after that, it's an open lab session. So if you want to ask about your signature system, I'm trying to build it, and I'm not sure what to do, run me through it, right? It could be, I want to talk about the thyroid, or I don't understand anatomy. Could you tell me what the fucking hip flexors are? And I'll get the skeleton out and we do that. So there's a chance for you every week to get feedback on anything that you guys want to. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Put a 1 in the chat if that all makes sense. Perfect. Cool. So the next thing I want to go through briefly before we go into this is making the most of the Facebook group and running to me, not away from me. As I said, for the people, and I said at the start when people jumped in, you can get more than what you paid for from this course if you're not scared to ask questions. So don't feel like you're bothering me by WhatsApping me. Don't feel like you're bothering me by putting a question in the Facebook group. If you need help to refine your system, ask it. And it doesn't even need to be a proper question. It could be, Simon, I'm lost, help. Simon, trying to do nutrition, where the fuck do I start? It could be that, or it could be as detailed as you like. But if you can make the most of using me in the WhatsApp group, the roundtables, and the Facebook groups, you will get more from this. Because I will delve into stuff. I don't hold anything back. I will go into topics that I talk about in depth in SMU with you on this course. Right? So, moving into the workbook. So, there are 2 documents I want to run through today to make sure you're clear on, because this is going to be how we build our signature systems. There's the signature systems workbook, which is in video 1, and there's this skeleton program builder. And these are going to be the things that you are going to present at the end of this 8 weeks. So let me just run you through some of these pages. So this first page here is the journey of self-made university. And you're currently in this phase 1 in building your signature system. These 2 phases, links to further still doesn't work with like, okay, I'll get Graphic to sort that. That should have already been done. They told me they'd done it. So I'll get that sorted by tomorrow. But I'll put this in the Facebook group for any of you anyway, so you can get it tonight. So you're here building your signature system. So the aim when you have your signature system, the aim of this is to get you to speed up your client setup, reduce your overwhelm, build the foundations, and we want you to achieve at least one holy fuck result with this, right? Whatever that is, right? When you've got this, like, for example, if you wanted to put muscle on somebody, the parameters of a program stay the same. You're roughly looking at a similar rep range, similar rest periods, similar structure, right? Where does the personalization comes in? Well, can someone squat the knee to hack squat? How much hip flexion do they have? How much external rotation do they have? Do I front elevate split squat or rear elevate split squat? It's the small stuff, but we can build out the framework from this. Once we've gone through this, right, and if you guys get to the end of 8 weeks and want to continue, when we go into the full SMU system, the next stages are this. So once you've got your signature system, now this allows you to filter your education and be able to refine your system. And that's what we layer on education. So if we go through this and Will has this amazing like product that he knows works, now we go in and teach him loads about exercise mechanics. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, I can add this and I can add this and I can add this. Or this isn't relevant. And then in phase 3, which again is a little bit further down the line, our goal then would be helping you stand up from the crowd. This is now, but why I brought this up in this lecture is the better you do with this, that is the framework to being the go-to guy in your area. The go-to dad's mental health fat loss coach for Paul starts with this system. Then you add education, get more results, and then it's like, right, what do I need to learn to be the mental health guy? Do we need to learn about neurotransmitters? Do we need to learn about sex hormones? Right? And that's where we teach you that sort of stuff. So this looks like a really complicated picture. And to a degree, it's because it is, right? But it shows here how systems become really, really important. Over the years, I found that the coaches who have the best communication skills tend to be the best coaches. I've seen average coaches get amazing results by having the gift of the gab. Now, there's only like the 1 to 2%. You know, there's people that kind of just have it and you just really, really hope they have tiny penises because they're just so good at communication that you hate them all, right? Those things can't be taught. We can make you better at it, but what can we do if you're not the natural communicator? I certainly am not. Well, the first thing we can do is we can increase your knowledge. The smarter you are at all areas of coaching, the better you're going to be at communicating through your content. The better you're going to be at communicating through your sales calls. The more conviction you're going to talk to your clients and the more they're going to adhere to your plan because they know you've thought this through. If you have a signature system and you know how it works and you have proof that your system works with tens, if not hundreds of people, then that's going to allow you to communicate with more authority, right? And that system will also improve your knowledge because just learning loads of shit without application means nothing. If I've got a system that I apply everything I'm learning to, it makes my knowledge better. It makes my system better. And all those 3 things will improve your confidence. And what you'll notice there, and this is really important for coaches, is most coaches try and start at the top of the pyramid and work down. But this top of the pyramid does not work if the foundations aren't there. If you're on a business mentorship right now and you don't feel like you're getting the leads that you want, I know people that think, if I get more leads, that'll improve my confidence as a coach. So they sign up to 2-3 business mentorships. They get a video editor, right? They get another video editor. They get a videographer. Doesn't help. And then they go, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need therapy. Maybe I need to join TMP. No shout not to TMP. TMP are amazing. I'm with TMP. But maybe my imposter syndrome is the problem. And then you get these breakthroughs and you feel really, really good. But then they come back to mediocre results and they're not more confident at the craft. Your ability to do a good job makes the business skills work, right? And this is why this has to be that priority. So the goal of this workbook is to help you outline your skeleton system and set goals for all of your clientele. If every one of your clients has a goal, you can be proactive in making sure they achieve it, rather than being like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Being like, please get leaner, please get leaner, please get leaner, please get leaner, rather than it doesn't matter if they're leaner on check-in day, because I know the system to help them. I know how to find the biggest problem, and I know how to move them forward. Put a 1 in the chat if you get check-in anxiety. Check-in anxiety comes from lack of systems. And James has put 1 in the chat. I know James is a great coach. I can't even remember what course I met you on, James, but it was a course that was clearly for smart people like us, right? So like, I know you're smart. We just need to streamline.
Can you believe it was 10 years ago? Actually, I was just thinking about that earlier.
What course was it?
It was bioprint in Marbella.
Oh my fucking God! Jesus Christ! Bioprint, yeah. May Charles rest in peace, right? And I know you've done some work, a PT project and all sorts of stuff, right? So it's like, it's now going to, right, how do we, and you are me 5-10 years ago. You were like, it's all this knowledge. I'm like, right, how the fuck do I apply any of this? Like, I'm trying to apply this exercise mechanic stuff, and Susan doesn't even want to go to the fucking gym. Fucking awful. How do we streamline that? How do we package that up? Right? And then making sure that we have those goals for our clients. So going through your signature selling program. So what you want to think is, who do you work with? How do you currently coach them? And what struggles do you face time and time again? Because if you know what's the roadblocks all your clients are coming up with, and you can bring them to the Tuesday calls, and we can go, right, let's brainstorm 5 solutions to deal with that same problem. So if you got clients not doing steps, or not hitting protein, or getting pissed on the weekends, if you can come up with 5 different ways to solve that problem, minimum, one of them will work. Susan's getting pissed at the weekend. Cool. Okay, can she plan her food prep, her Sunday food on Saturday? That way that she's not going to have a hangover breakfast. Did that work? Kinda, but not really. Okay, can she switch to spirit mixers? Did that work? Yeah, but she had 20 of them. Okay, could we have it where she only gets a spirit mixer when someone else gets the round, and she just goes with the mixer in between rounds? Did that work? Yes. Hey, presto, we found that person a solution. And the more of a database you can have with these things, the quicker you can solve people's problems, right? So this is what you want to think about here. So the first one I want to go through is nutrition. And there's 2 approaches to nutrition that I would start to look at. There's the high to low approach, and there's low to high. High to low is you start calories as close to maintenance as humanly fucking possible and work down. It's the old school bodybuilding approach, right? So whilst we're going through this, I want you to take notes a little bit of like, what's going to be right for you. I think the high to low approach works really well for the more advanced trainee. If I took James, who's just in a photo shoot and looked fucking shredded, right? I don't want to start him at a massive fuck off deficit. Why? Because I don't want to risk him losing lean tissue. He's got these fucking crazy square abs. Go on his Instagram, you'll find them. I don't want him to lose that muscle mass, right? I know he trains hard. I know he moves a lot, right? So I don't want to feel like shit. I know that if he says he's on 3,000 calories losing weight, he's probably close to 3,000 calories and losing weight. He's tracked before, right? So I can put him at a small deficit, and I can say for certainty that he's probably going to lose a bit of weight. But a beginner on a small deficit, they don't understand lattes, oils, sauces, and seasonings. They're going to fuck it up. And if you spend the first 4 to 5 weeks and they haven't lost a pound, they're going to buy out your product. So for them, they don't move. They don't train hard enough, right? They're going to make mistakes. They're probably not as metabolically healthy. We might start with a bigger deficit, and as that motivation drops off, we increase food up. So think of who you deal with, which approach is going to work for you. It doesn't mean you won't use both. But when we start thinking about signature system, who is the people that is your norm? Who is the 70, 80%? The next thing I want you to think about is your periodization approach. Now, some people say that periodization isn't important for Gen Pop people. And to a degree, I understand that. I think they're going to randomly pick a wedding, and you're going to be half through a hypertrophy phase because I want to get lean now because I'm invited to a wedding in Spain. Oh, for fuck's sake. Or they get injured, or work gets busy and they miss training. I get that. But one thing, as we said before, periodization allows you to think long-term with your clients, right? Which helps retention. For you, periodization allows you to plan a year's worth of training off the bat instead of going phase to phase. Also, linear periodization allows you to pick a rep range, which then influences all of your other coaching decisions. So if I did linear periodization, I start my reps high, right? So I'll start, let's say, 10 to 12. Next phase will be 8 to 10. Then it'll be 6 to 8. And then if it's safe, I may go into a strength phase. What does that do? You have 3 phases, maybe 4 off the bat. And I'm also not going to do 3 sets of 15 deadlifts. I'm not going to do 5 sets of 5 leg extensions. So my exercise pool, we spoke about people being overwhelmed with program design, has gone from this to this, right? Undulating is where you go through phases of accumulation, high volume phases, and high intensity phases. This is often good for the intermediate who likes a little bit of variety in their training, right? We go into this in more detail on the video of it, right? Then we've got these ones on the bottom, daily undulating and conjugate. The disadvantage of these, they're a little bit jack of all trades, master of none. It's hard to know when someone is overtraining on a conjugate model. And that's what, like, the A series is strength, B series is hypertrophy, and the C series is volume, right? If I've got someone that's now signs of overtraining, let's say they get DOMS for a while, or tendonitis issues, or nervous system issues, Where do I go if I'm doing everything at the same time? I've only got the option to deload. So these top two models are much better if you like being precise, right? If you like using a change in stimulus to act as a deload, as opposed to just doing a week at lower volumes or lower intensities. Now, daily undulating, not Dawley, daily undulating periodization, right, is where one day, let's say Monday will be strength, Wednesday will be hypertrophy, Friday will be volume. Similar to the conjugate in the sense of it's a jack of all trades, master of none. But what this could work really well for is if you work with people who do a lot of business trips, right? If you're in the middle of a strength phase, which is very nervous system demanding, and someone comes off a long haul flight and they're fucked, it kind of throws your plan out of whack. But if you've got different stimulus on different days, you can just jig the days around. Okay, I'll do my volume day today and I'll move the high intensity session to Friday. If that happens regularly, or all of your clients are travelers, not gypsy travelers, like they do long haul flights, right? We can build that perfect product for them and maneuver the days. Another person that works really well with daily undulating periodization is athletes. And this is important maybe for David, because if I've got a fight on Saturday, or if I've got a game on Saturday, do I want to do tons of volume on hamstrings before I'm running around a football pitch? Probably not. I don't want tons of DOMs. But if I do a strength day, that's probably not going to have tons of DOMs. And I'm going to fire up my nervous system a bit. And if I'm going to go into a sport where I'm about to get punched in the face, I would quite like to be a little bit amped up. So you can maneuver that around the day. And we can, when they're a bit fucked after the game, on Monday, we can do a high volume day. So take some notes here, guys. Think of where you're going to start. So we're going to choose your target demo. That's goal 1. Goal 2 is choose your nutrition approach. Goal 3 is choose your training systems. And then we're going to present it, and then you're going to test and refine it. Right? And over time, you're going to get better and better and better at using these. So then we move on to our systems plan. When it comes to this, it's like pick 1 or 2 from each of these. So the first thing is your check-in approach. Right? Some of you are going to be great writers. You should write a novel. I am not that person. So guess what I'm not going to use? Email. Some of you want a hybrid model or a group model, so we could lean into the community. Your check-in could be a set of questions on your Facebook group and everyone comments their answers. And it adds a little bit of community. Yes, it's less personal, but it leans into the community element. I know people have done it with great success. Some of you are great speakers. This is where Loom or voice notes work really, really well, right? So think of what your clients want and think of what you're good at doing. I'm good at speaking, right? If I gave people email check-ins, I'd have a lot of people probably canceling because of all the fucking typos. Case in point, Dawley undulating periodization.
And systems on the next page.
Yeah. Yeah, have you got that there? For example, right? Oh, yeah, systems. See, I didn't even notice that one. See what I mean? So this is why I do speaking stuff. The next one is the one I guarantee most of you aren't doing, and especially if your goal is fat loss, pick one of these. For the first 21 days, I think it's hugely important to make sure people aren't making stupid mistakes on food tracking. The amount of coaches, nearly every coach that's come into SMU has said the same thing. Jenny's on 1,400 calories and she's not losing weight and she's 90 kilos. Like, she's not on 1,400 calories. Oh, she is. She wouldn't lie to me. She's super honest. We have a really good connection. I know the name of her dog. I'm like, fantastic. She's not on 1,400 calories, right? So that could have been solved if in the first 3 weeks we got pictures of everything they eat and their food diaries screenshotted to you. I always say to my clients, first 3 weeks is going to be a little bit of an intensive, right? Because I want to make sure that your food diaries matches what you're eating, so we know that X amount of food does this to your weight. After that, we can either ease off that, or if you like the daily accountability, we can keep it going. Now, how you approach this depends on you. There is option 1, the daily texter. If you're a really organized guy, you're the person that does your business outreach 3-4 times a day with no problems and no one has to remind you, do this. I know people that really succeed well with this. At breakfast, they make sure their clients, hey, how's it going? What's for meal 1? Hey, how have you gotten on with meal 2? Hey, hope you've had a good day at work. Just checking in. Have you got the food diaries for meal 3? No one will forget that, right? That's the benefit of that. But for some of you, if you're like me, that might feels like blowing your brains out. Or if you're medicated with ADHD like me, there ain't faux fucking chance I'm remembering messaging people 3 times a day. So I would set in an end of day report. I send an email on my onboarding and I go, right, what I want you to do at the end of each day, I want you to send me your weight, your steps, food pictures, and screenshots of your food diary. And then once a day, you drop everyone a reply. And you're looking there for accuracy, not perfection. So that chicken looks a bit shiny. Is there any oil on that? Hey, you said you had a coffee. Any milk in that coffee? Right? It's not telling someone off having milk. It's not telling someone off having wine. But it's noticing, you said 1 ounce of steak and 1/3 of a glass of wine? Who has 1 ounce of steak? Who drinks 1/3 of a glass of wine? I don't mind if you had the glass. Just put the glass in. Because then we can see if we can fit it in. Right? And those are real examples, by the way. Right? I've also said, someone once said to me, they had 800 grams of protein in one meal. And I went, first off, I've never told you I have 800 grams of protein a day, let alone a meal. 2, it's the amount of protein in the chicken, not the weight of the chicken. And 3, you've weighed the plate. People don't know. So use this. So pick one of those approaches. And with new clients, start implementing it. It'll be game changing. And then use a delivery system. Some of you are going to be using apps. Some of you are going to be using spreadsheets. Some of you might choose a community page, depending on your product. Right? These are some of the things. Once you've got these in place and you know, then we can build out from there. And then the last thing to go through is your results blueprint. So what you should be aiming for with your clients is a 1 in 4 the client to stand out holy fuck success ratio. Why 1 in 4? Well, 1 in 4 is 1 because you're going to look at people online and go, that person looks like they have 100% success rate. They've got loads of results. And you're going to feel inadequate. Put 2 in the chat if you felt inadequate to another coach because you feel they have tons more results than you. I've certainly felt like that. But half of that's full of shit, right? Because you know full well they have a machine gun approach. They have 1,000 clients, they get 100 results. That's their marketing. They may have way less than a 1 in 4. Or they may just be about on a 1 in 4, right? For example, right? James, you've done some work with Paul Standel. He doesn't have a 100% success rate. He doesn't, right? No one does. So if we think here, if we're like, one is like, oh my God, that's amazing. Maybe 1 or 2 results are like, yeah, they're doing all right. And then one person is just going along for the ride and just like, it stops them being less fat. We all have those clients. But if it's less than 1 in 4, that's your sign that we need to do a little bit more work. If it takes you 7, 8 clients to get one really good result, then there's some gap in what you need to know. And that's probably a knowledge thing or a communication thing. But then you can go and hunt and proactively change that. So all these documents are in here, but I just wanted to go over here is that the timeline document, you don't necessarily need to scan these are on the course, but the timeline document and the goal setting documents are probably 2 of the most important documents you'll use. This means you can test that if your signature system works. You can go through your clients. When you make adjustments, you can see it and you can look back on it. It becomes a case study. Goal setting document means you can go through with your clients and set a target. Where's the end goal? And how does that work back to where your weekly target is? Workbullic is working. Yes, Will just said that. I'll put it in the Facebook group after this. Right? So the goal setting document will make sure that you have a target. What is the target for next week? What is 1% down? You're 88.8. I need you to be 88 next week. What are the things that you need to do to hit that? And then have something like this. Your client status check. Know where your clients are. Name, body weight. What's the estimated starting body fat percentage? What's the goal body fat percentage? And this could be visual. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? If you're working with people that aren't body fat related, this could be starting strength, goal strength, right? What's their goal weight? And what's the agreed rate of change that you're looking to achieve, right? How many weeks is it going to take to that result? What's the link, Will? Did you just paste him? Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. And then weeks to result, and what's their current rate of change? So if we know that they should be losing 0.8 and they're currently at 0.2, each week you can go back and go, right, I need to check in with Steve, with Dave, with Barry, right? And you'd be amazed if you did this with all your clients, you'd be amazed how clients you thought were on track aren't as on track as you think, because you get lost in each week, right? And that just leaves you know that you need to kick it up again with them. And like for the people that said they get check-in anxiety, right? The big thing I would say about that as well, who sometimes like gets lost in the excuses that clients give on check-ins. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever felt that feeling. They give you 1,000,001 reasons why they haven't followed the plan and you're just trying to put out fires. Doing this on a Friday, let's say your check-ins on the weekend, or doing this before your check-ins, like a couple of days before, could be the thing that stops you doing that and stops you overthinking of it. If I go through my list of clients and I know that John is behind target, and I look at John's tracker and I know that John has got round numbers in all of his macro tracking. So it's like 70, 70, 70, 70, 70 grams of fat. Never 69, never 71. And his steps are exactly 10,000 every day. So he's on 9,999 steps, and then he leaped into bed, right? We can probably safely assume the problem with John is he's not tracking accurately. And I could come up with a solution before he gives me all the excuses of why he thinks he's not losing weight. So but it doesn't mean you ignore what they're telling you in the check-in, but at least you already know the problem before the check-in comes in, and you can cut through the noise, right? And then I want you to identify who are your next potential results. Look at your client roster and who are the people that are going to be like, these guys are going to be my next big ones. And who are the people that are struggling? When you know these, we'll work on these first in our calls, because our goal is to get you at least 5 pieces of social proof. Not necessarily in the 8 weeks, but if you can get 5 pieces of really good standout social proof, you're going to find it much easier to get leads. Because the difference between someone going onto your Instagram and going, do you know what? I like Paul. He's a good lad. Chat some good stuff. I resonate with his message. I'll follow his Instagram more. And I'm going to drop Paul a message because I need help. The difference between follower and client is quality of results, right? Reason why you're all on this call, right? If you just liked me as a person, you just follow me on Instagram. You're here because you see value in something I do, which is probably because you've had someone else or you've seen a result that goes, oh, fuck, I could probably benefit from that, right? So before we go into open Q&A, I just want to and go onto the whiteboard. I just want to go through this other document quickly. That's our skeleton program builder. So you'll see this document. This is how we build out a year's worth of training. So there's a couple of things that we're going to be looking at here. The first one is this intro. So what I want you to do with this intro is when you've worked out what your niche is, put in what the product is. So I'm looking for a 12-month case study of progressive programming for boxers who have been injured after retiring from boxing that want to move better and get their 25-year-old athleticism back. Could be David's, right? Case study. Male, 50 years old, ex-boxer, hip pain, lower back pain, right? And then you now know what you're building. Often if you're trying to build program templates, if you don't know example, if you don't have a clear person in mind, it's really difficult to write for them. So think of an example client. It could be a real client that you want to work more with. And then we can start to look at these phases. So I've put in here an example here for 3 years of how I would periodize this. So I start with a linear model of full body programming, and then move into upper lower. And then I move into more body part splits as someone starts to get more advanced. So that's the example of how we train. Then what is the cardio that's going to work? If I work with beginners, I might do a lot more steady state work to build their aerobic base, right? And then how do I progress that? What nutrition might work? I might do lower carb with this person, right? I might do macros with this person. I might use a meal plan with this person. How long will I use a meal plan? Maybe I'll do a meal plan for the first 3 weeks, and then I'll go macros. And do we see here how we can just start, before we start worrying about what's my first exercise on the page, how does this year look? Is there any homework that person needs to do? Do you know what? This person could probably do some stretching in week 1, or this person could do some breath work in the first 6 weeks. Put that in here. Is there any habits I want to do? Weighing their food, sending food pictures. Get creative with this. And then just have this tick list and go, have I completed what I need to for this? Right? So when you've written phase 1, tick it. And you have that little bit of accountability that you're starting to build this out. Right? And then from here, you can go a little bit deeper. So in this, I've got my 3 phases that I spoke about here. There. But now I'm going, right, how many reps are there in? How many sets am I going to do? And that just now takes it from this big year long, slightly in how this phase works. What periodization model am I going to use? And then we can start building out the phases. So I've got some examples here of how this would look, and then you can write these templates in here. Once you've got this, if you can build all these out however you like, you're going to have a year's worth of training. So before we go through an example, put a 2 in the chat if that all makes sense. I know some of it might have gone over your head initially, but I just wanted to make sure that you weren't lost when looking at these documents later. Is there any questions about that? Because that is what we're going to be building. No? Okay. I said I'm going to use an example, and I'm going to grab Paul. So when we're looking at building our niche, Paul, let me just say, now this is where the camera doesn't want to work, isn't it? Fuck's sake. Always doesn't want to work. I've just been bigging out how good this camera was, and now it doesn't want to find my webcam. Right. 2 seconds. You're going to see my different side of my room here for a second. Right. Let's see if this will work now. It's going to wake it up again. There we go. Let's try this again. There we go. If I move my head out the way, there we go. So this is how you're going to start brainstorming your niche as the first thing. So, like, first thing is you, right? Can any of you tell me something you know about me that has nothing to do with training and nutrition? I'm sure some of you can, because I don't hide it.
Well,
I've got ADHD. That's something. Anyone else got anything else? What sports do I like? I like WWE. I like rugby. There we go. What company did I used to work for?
UP.
UP, right? So let's say we know a little bit about me. Your niche is you, right? Some people go, oh, what's my niche? I need to have males 35 to 42 who really like chips, who are fat loss enthusiasts. The reason why your friends like you is because I like football, or I'm a Liverpool fan, or I love rugby, or I really like musical theatre, right? You become half the niche. Does anyone know who Leanne Marshall is? Leanne Marshall is an ex-dancer, ex-colleague of mine at UP, has a great business helping dancers and actors prepare for roles. That came from her performance background, right? So what about you, Paul, do you think is relevant to your story, to your potential client?
Being a dad, being a busy dad.
Busy dad, right? So we've got busy.
Finding it hard to find time.
Yeah, okay. Time, Paul. What else? We've got dads. What do dads like?
I like a beer on occasions.
Yeah.
I like to sit on the toilet for 10 minutes for some peace.
Toilet for 10 minutes. I like that. What could you do on the toilet for 10 minutes that's productive?
I'll probably read a bit of news on my phone.
Track food.
Yeah.
Struggling for time to track food, you record it as if you're on the fucking toilet, a reel, with your phone, and go, instead of playing Candy Crush, I want you to track your food for tomorrow. This is like leaning into this stuff. Also, if you're trying to find new followers, what sports do they like? Look at Manchester United fans and fucking follow a bunch of them. People that like beer, go and find Asahi's Instagram page and follow a bunch of those people, right? But these are the things you leverage. These are the things that make people resonate with you as a human. These are the things that you might want to solve or lean into or build a community element around. Football game day. How can you take your favorite snack and make it healthy? We're all going to have a challenge this weekend. Let's do that shit. And that could be part of your product. Again, so you mentioned busy. We've got family. What else is about them that's going to be helpful? What's the current struggles that they have? What's the desires they have? Run me through some stuff. What do you know about these busy dads?
As I say, a lack of time to work out or be fit or prepare healthy meals. Could go on the takeaways or whatnot. So, they're a bit overweight, bit out of breath, bit out of shape.
Okay, so poor VO2 max. Why is poor VO2 max something that's a pain point? Why is it?
Because as I say, like when my little toddler were running around and I didn't have a lot of cardio, it was hard to play with them. So it's it can be a real sort of you want to be running around with your kid and playing with them, chucking them about.
Awesome. And here's a really important thing when it comes to goal setting, right? When it comes to goal setting, this is the framework I always use: past, future, present. Past is why are you here right now, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you're really good at helping people lose the first 5 to 10 kilos, but really hard to lose the last 5 to 10 kilos. They do really, really well, and then people just like taper off. You get an all right result. I had that for years. I'm sure I'm not the only one. There we go, right? So if we're gonna have those kind of people, the past is like, I look down the shower and I can't see my dick. I go upstairs and I'm out of breath. I don't think my partner finds me attractive. We are more motivated to move away from pain than we are to move towards pleasure. So that's why people are really good at that. And they're reminded every day, I'm fat, I hate it, I need to eat, oh, I'm going to put that donut down because I feel like shit. But there's going to be a point in that journey where they kind of go, feel all right. I don't feel amazing, but that's a lot of work. And my partner's got a bit of mojo back, and my friends aren't taking the piss at me for being fat. Yeah, I'm all right. Now we move on to the future. What are we pulling them towards? This is a pain point, but also that could be the second goal. How do we make sure that you stay quicker than your kids for 10 years? That's that future. And the present is why aren't they there already? Right? Why is being time poor a pain point?
The usual, as from like experience myself, if I don't have the time, you sort of like, I'm not going to go. And again, it leads to lower confidence, lack of consistency, motivation.
Feel like a failure. Could be something here, right? If you've been trying these diets over and over again, and every time you fail because you haven't found something that fits into your schedule, that's something you leverage in the content you have, right? Family, right? Why could family be a pain point?
It goes back to being sort of that old-fashioned male. You want to be able to look after your family, and if you're low on confidence and you're low on fitness, you want to be a superhero to your kids.
Role model, feeling needed. Men need to feel needed. When men don't feel needed, this is when we get real issues. And more men, I don't want to make this a morbid chat, more men are committing suicide. A lot of it's down to men feeling unneeded. Right. So we've got these things here. Takeaways could be the lack of energy that you're going to have after these. It could be money. Right? And these are things that we're looking at. What do your dads want? What's the goal, Paul?
Want to be able to run around with the kids, feel confident, be a role model, be the superhero.
Okay.
They want the kids to grow up going, yeah, that's my dad. Look at him. He's like a Greek god. Okay,
fried with kids. Now, what's the interesting... If you're looking at this, running around with kids, and we're looking at pride, you can't really quantify it. How can we quantify that?
I'm not sure how you feel. How you feel within yourself.
Okay, and how do we quantify that? Because that's what we want, unarguably, right? But how does someone get to that point, and how do they know you've done a good job? Because if we just go by feel, right, I could lose 10 kilos and feel better than here, but I forgot what I felt back then. I'm still wanting to feel better. So I need something for you to go, right, I've achieved goal 1. And that's going to, because if we want a signature system that works, we need something that's quantifiable. So how can we quantify that? Running around with kids.
It could be with your VO2 max. It could be sort of, if they've gone, you know what, I couldn't run a 5K like way back when, but now I'm running a 5K, now I'm going on to a 10K.
Now we're looking at VO2 max methods. So we could be looking at things like the Cooper's run. Could be something. Could be speed of a certain, like I say, 1,000-meter row. Or,
you want your 1 rep max in the gym as well if you're working out.
Okay,
if your weight's increased, you're stronger.
Cool. Right. We've also got here that we can potentially look at resting heart rates and blood pressure. These are metrics that we can take very regularly, especially resting heart rate. You can take that daily. That'll have a direct relationship to VO2 max, as will body weight, by the way. but it also is going to have an impact on how fit and healthy you are. What, from a physique standpoint, would you want?
Obviously lower body fat, no belly, no overhangs, love handles.
Okay.
Individually.
Cool. So like we've got
Look
no
at yourself in the
overhang.
mirror.
Okay. We've got looking at love handles, things like this. These are some of the buzzwords that are like that, right? So what we're looking at here, we're probably looking at some guy that wants to go, from what you were saying earlier on, be sub 15%, right?
Yeah.
And that's something we can somewhat quantify. We can find out, using the goal setting tracker, what weight will a guy have to be under 15% body fat. And that's going to be obviously very different for everybody. But that gives you something to work on. So if you've now got like a 95 kilo guy at 33% body fat, you want to be able to go, right, if you want to get to 15%, you're going to need to be, I don't know, 75 kilos at 15%. Massive numbers thrown at my arse. But like, okay, that's the end goal. It's going to take how long? Let's say it's going to take 26 weeks, right? Okay, cool. What's the goal this week? 0.9, 1% of our body weight target per week, right? And then what do you need to do to lose 0.9, right? Well, let's look at some of this stuff. You could potentially look at starting with some form of step goal and some form of meal plan. Done. And do you know how that's quantifiable? If we hit that, fantastic, keep going. If we don't hit that, we need to work out why. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, we're going to move on to the product here. Do you want me to take a picture of that and send it you?
Yeah, you can do, please.
Right. So now we've got that, and this is what I want you guys to all think about doing. I want you to start thinking about, really dive into it and go to the point where you feel like you know them better than you know your partner, right? So now we're going to look at that to remember that stuff. So we're now going to go into next phase of this is what they need, what they want. What else do they have in there? Want. What should you provide? And what shouldn't you provide? So you know where to start. So what does your busy dads need to ensure they get the result? What is like the minimum effective dose? If you do this with your coaching, that will get them the result.
Guidance.
So if we quantify guidance into something we know you can do, what does that mean? How do you know at the end of your week you've given them guidance?
If they're a complete beginner and they don't understand calories or macros, you can guide them on calorie deficits and the TDE, BMR, things like that. You can educate them on that.
I would argue you wouldn't necessarily need to know that from day one. They just need to start moving. But the whole equipment is set up. We're going to have check-ins. We're going to have touch points. That's guidance, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Set them up, check-ins and touch points. Done. If you do those three things, they've got guidance. What else do they need? What are you setting them up on?
Sorry?
What are you setting them up with?
Training plans, nutrition plans.
Training. Nutrition.
Step counts, hydration, things like that.
Yeah, that will come into nutrition. And then I think the other one is community. A community of other dads. Guys feel lonely. It's getting worse. You can provide something for that. That'd be game changing. So what do we need from that? Well, you're also going to need a training program. And we're going to need progression. So we can think long term. That's it. So if you think about what you need to do, you need to be able to streamline your setup. You need to have check-in times in your diaries. You need touch point times in your diaries. And you're going to need programming in your diary. Right? Those things need to be there. Before we even talk about business and outreach, right? Nutrition. They're going to need some form of structure. If someone's busy, is macros the right way to go?
Yeah, no. Because when I've been busy, if I've been busy, if I have a set nutrition plan, I can sort of meal prep the day before. Like if I know I'm gonna have a busy day, I can meal prep the day before, and then I go, right, I can eat this now, I can take this to work, I can have this after work, I can have this for me supper. I don't need to worry about that now. I can just take it with me into work.
Exactly.
Whereas if I'm sort of giving macros, I'm sort of like, oh well, what should I have to get my macros in here? And then it sort of gets confusing.
So exactly, and that's the thing. You ever heard that phrase? You don't rise to raise of your habits, you fall to level of your systems. We need something that when life hits the fan, what's the break glass in the emergency diet? Which could be something that's a little bit more, you take out decision fatigue. Busy people, you give them every food in the world, that's a lot of fucking decisions to make. So we need it to be simple. Right? And that could be two shakes, 2 meals, for example, right? And then for a community, you need some form of group. Depending on what works, that could be Facebook, could be school, right? Where you have your group will depend on the kind of client. Busy dads, if they're over the age of 40, probably don't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Some do, some won't, right? So we might use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Right? Personal trainers often use Facebook more. Why? Because you're all on Facebook, because you're PTs. You're all in other groups. Some of you are in Supercharge, some of you are in a business manager group. So adding a Facebook group makes sense. WhatsApp group might work better if you're working with busy professionals because they're all on WhatsApp and most of them are on Facebook. And that's some of the stuff to think about in your signature systems. And then, so that's what you need. The rest of this is irrelevant. That's what you need. Well, what do we want? What's the next stage? What's version 2?
They want to get stronger, want to get fitter.
So we've got strength.
Want to look better. Yeah.
Right? So we're going to be looking. They want to see progress. You need to have an idea of how we progress them. You might want some level of variety. That might have something to do with it for a lot of people, right? So
they want it to be simple as well, don't they?
Yeah. Periodized plans. Take out the structure, take out the guesswork. Right? Do they need education?
Again, it's sort of a grey area, isn't it? Some of them are just like, yeah, I really want to know more about this, so I can take it forward. And then others are just like, listen, just give me the plan, I'll do it, and I'll look better because of it, because you're the professional, not me. I'll just do what you tell me.
I think this is for the select few that do ask more questions, and I think this is something that I wouldn't waste your time on, right? But what might do here? What's the biggest problems that they face? So, like we talked about, maybe like in sport and social occasions. So we might look at things like 5-min meals over recipe books. What might go on the shouldn't list is recipes. I'm not I am anti-recipes, but I'm not too anti-recipes. But if you're working with stay-at-home mums, recipe guides are great. Or stay-at-home dads. But if you are busy working dads, they ain't got time to make high-protein, low-carb granola bars.
Yeah, they just want to chuck a whey down the throat.
Fucking 90% of the fitness industry. Here's my low-protein, low-carb, high-protein carbonara recipe. Who the fuck has time to cook that? Like, is it... Framework, busy people. If you've got busy in your niche, is it quicker than a steak on the grill? If it's not, too much.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So it could be, 5-minute meals. It could be weekend calorie guides. It could be SWOPS documents. So rather than having macros, you might have a meal plan with a SWOPS document. Here's 5 different lean proteins, 5 different fatty proteins, 5 different fat sources. These are some of the things that you might want to provide. These are some of the things that are superfluous to requirements. And hopefully this gives you an idea, Paul. But this is just what I wanted to show is how you could do this. And I want you to all of you start thinking, right, if I did that, and I want you to elaborate on that as well as much as you can, how do I get a point where I know really clearly what is helping people? What's really going to help people, and what's hindering people? What's fluff? What's surplus to requirements? For example, right, if you use an app, right, it's important that no app is perfect, but if you use an app, buy into the app 100%. I did it for a while where I had an app and then I had a spreadsheet for my nutrition plans. right? Because the app wasn't great for nutrition. What happened to my adherence? Because I work with busy people and I gave them 2 places to go. It's fucking complicated. So if the app's not good, suck it up and go all in on the app so that you have one place and everything is there. For you guys, everything is in that portal. I'm not sending you to 12 different locations. And that is what you need with your clients. If you use a spreadsheet, benefits of a spreadsheet is you can personalize it and you can put anything you like in there. You can make it mega. But it's going to take a little bit more convincing to get people to fill it in.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off. If you work with coaches or you work with advanced people or people that like, or investment bankers that probably like a spreadsheet, then do a spreadsheet. If you work with mums in their 60s, they're probably not going to fill in a spreadsheet.
So on that one, I've currently got like a coaching app I use. I'm currently having a website built. Would you say an educational resource should stay inside the coaching app? Just because, again, mine's a bit more education based.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm with OneFit currently. I'm trying to retrialing them out currently, but the Vault section on there is just
it's all right. Yeah. It depends on what you're looking to achieve from it, right? So like I use OneFit's Vault and put some documents in there because my coaching clients, they're not like, I get the odd coach, but most of the people, they're just like, they're normal people. So
yeah.
they don't really want that much education. They just want one place. They want it simple. They want to go there. They want to check in there. They want to get feedback there. They want all over there in one place. So I don't give it anywhere else.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Whereas I wouldn't use OneFit's Vault for SMU.
Yeah.
Because that would be madness, right? So
Yeah,
I have my own custom thing built there. But I see a lot of coaches try so hard, money and investment and time to try and do educational webinars because they feel that's what they need. And their clients don't actually care. When they're home from work, the last thing you want to do is hear you bang on about weekend meals out strategies. And you're just on Zoom on your own. And it's soul crushing. And it's not helping anyone. You could take that time and create a resource, or you could create that time and message people on WhatsApp personally. And that would have a better return on your investment of time.
Yeah.
Sure. So that, hopefully, guys, put a 1 in the chat if tonight has been helpful. If that's given you a bit of a start and given you a few things. Fantastic. Good. Brilliant. That's what I was hoping for. So the aim here, start going through that content. Start jotting down ideas, over jot down. If you've got a whiteboard, that's a really good investment. And just sort of brainstorm and throw everything on paper, get it out of your head, and then start piecing it together as you go through the videos. Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. The floor is yours. Come ask any questions you have. We'll get on the whiteboard like this. We'll personalize it to you. It's an open forum. But as I said, I'm in no rush tonight. So if you want to go and enjoy your Monday night, feel free. If you have, are these recorded? Yes, they will all be recorded. And you can ask questions either in the Facebook group or via the roundtable submission thing. If you use the submission form, just WhatsApp me and tell me that you've put something in there because I don't get an email for that one. And I'll have a look at it. Or just put it in the Facebook group and I'll get a notification. But I'm open to any questions now until probably about 9 o'clock, guys. So if you, I will go around. I'll start with James. James, one key takeaway from today. He's still there. Is he still there? Is he driving again? No, he's there. He's still there.
I'm eating again now.
Standard. You're finishing a shoot. You've got to eat now, man. You've earned it.
Biggest takeaway was just the mapping out the full year, and the breakdown of how you would work that, and just thinking about what I do currently, and some of the sticking points that I have with the periodization of it. And I think what I'm currently doing probably doesn't fit some of the people that I work with as well, which is why I'm kind of back at the drawing board all the time, changing things as I go. So yeah, I think that was some of the different periodization models will work differently and better for what I'm doing.
Perfect. And that's what I'm aiming for here. I want you guys to this again, I'm hoping I teach you stuff, but the game is here is how to condense your current knowledge into a package right now. If you guys go on after this and do the full SMU and you want me to pick your thing apart and be able to teach you exercise mechanics and nutrition and thyroid and revamp the whole thing, yeah, cool, we can do that. But right now it's like going, right, I know James has at least been in the industry 10 years because I met him 10 years ago. What from the last 10 years can we just package up? And that's the thing that we're looking for here. David, any key takeaways?
Probably the last bit with the whiteboard, obviously breaking down what it was there for. Was it Paul? I think it was.
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, so just that really helped. Just give me some ideas of my own self. I've never thought about it in that way, and all the stuff that I've already got pre-packaged up that I could drop into those places at the right points. Because I've always had a lot of stuff, but it's like I said, there's no system. So it's like, where do I put this stuff? And then you forget what you're giving people, what you haven't given people, what was useful, what wasn't, what will work with certain types of clients, what won't. So some do like meal plans, and other people just tell me what to eat. You know, tell me where I get my protein from. It's just simple stuff like that. And I've got all those plug and play bits, but it's just like, where would they be good with what clients and where to place them in what part of the program? So it's giving me some jigsaw pieces now. It's revealing the bigger picture.
Good. Glad to hear it. And that's where that skeleton system, but certainly with training, but you can do the same thing with nutrition, is really valuable because it just allows you to go, right, I've got a million clients all want different things. So go, right, let's what is the main avatar? What's the people I get time and time again, or who I want to work with most? And let's just build the best plan for that. Best plan for 30 to 40-year-old beginner fat loss dads that I can ever make. And then when I get a 28-year-old mum, yeah, then I modify it. But like at least the 70% of it's nailed down. At least the female firefighters are looked after because that's who I'm going to work with. And I just tweak from that base. Colin, I muted you because you had a bit of a loud background. You might need to unmute. You're still muted, dude. Might have to click the mute button. Should be if you click the audio. Yeah, got you.
Sorry. Yeah, periodization. And I think finding the right niche and going through the whiteboard was obviously a takeaway for that point as well. Because up till now, it's literally been whoever comes along, I take it or leave it. So it could be a sort of 23-year-old or it could be a 45-year-old male or female. And it's really trying to say, I don't know from the group, are we all in a sort of the same mindset of we do take who we can or when they come along, or are we specifically all looking at have worked out our niches? That's always been sort of a hard thing for me to sort of try and, you want to sort of work with whoever you come along because you're a PT and you've done the training for it. So trying to break it and condense it and say, well, sorry, I'd love to work with you, but my niche is someone slightly older.
So I think the niche thing, the thing with that is that you shouldn't necessarily turn people away based off your niche being said thing. Certainly what your one-to-one coaching, like who's around you, right? And that's going to be a little bit more of a variety piece. But when it comes online, you try and speak to everyone, you'll speak to no one. So if you've ever heard of a guy called Brett Contreras, he's probably has the clearest niche lever here. He's called the glute guy. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't know he never trains delts. He never trains lats. He just tends to have a lot of women that train glutes. But I bet if you look at his client roster, there's a few guys that want big arms. But his marketing is all, I am the guy that helps people get big glutes. And he uses hip thrust, which isn't the best glute exercise. But anyway, that's me throwing shade. But like, if we start things like, right, who is the kind of people I'd either like to work with or who have the best track record with? Let's build my product around them. Let's talk to them. And then when someone in your local gym comes in and goes, I'm a 21-year-old bloke who wants big arms, and then yeah, you just modify the program to a 21-year-old bloke who wants big arms. But it's creating that sort of like, right, who is the people that tend to come to me? Let's try and create some consistency with that kind of person.
No, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Chris, any key takeaways from today, or any questions, in fact?
I think ultimately it's nailing down the needs and wants, because I'm directly looking. I've never sort of seen it broken down like you did on the whiteboard, and to actually have it where I am that person. Like what do I need? What do I want? And what do they want?
100%.
And what are they? And then looking at the current systems I've got in place, and it was funny when you said about the training app and the spreadsheet and kind of going all in, and I was like, oh shit, it's like he's literally
I made that mistake the hard way. I learned that by making that mistake.
Yeah, and like I've done it a few times where I've played around with different apps as well, because one doesn't quite do it, and then I go to another one and go, well, this isn't quite right, so I'll swap to another. And no, I'm definitely sticking with one. But yeah, it's definitely finding everything having in one place and making sure everybody's catered for what they actually need rather than what I think they
and the advantage of you having a clear niche, you're going to sort of piggyback on from Colin thing, right? Is that you're going to know the fitness tests to get into firefighting clearer than anyone else, which means you can work back from that. You go, you need X, Y, and Z to even be considered. How do I work that back from where somebody is right now? I'm like 24-year-old bloke who wants to join the firefighters and I'm unfit as fuck. I need to pass these fitness tests. Well, how do I break these fitness tests down into its individual components? Right? What muscles do I need to climb a ladder really fucking quickly, like I see on TikTok when people are coming up those things really quick? How do I get the VO2 max that I'm not gassed halfway up the building, right? How do I make sure that my breathing mechanics are good enough so I don't die in a smoke-infested room? I don't know fucking what the tests are, but you know, like you can work this shit back and go, how does that start with beginner? And then how does that progress? And then if you see somebody, you can have a year or a 2-year program that gets you from, I haven't got a fucking clue about training to, I'm a fucking amazing firefighter. And then you may start someone at month 6 because they've already covered the first bit. But you just kind of go, right, where do you fit along the timeline? Yeah. And that means it's really easy to program for it. Like that one. If someone came to me, they're not ready for GBC programming, right? Let's say I got one of you guys, I might start on upper lower. See where you are, see how well you tolerate volume. And then as you start to go, oh, Simon, I'm still so sore after like chest day, or after I did leg day 1, my nervous system's fried all week. And I go, all right, I know that Chris trains like an absolute beast. Maybe he wants to go his back, not his quad. So maybe I'll just kind of like do 1 quad day and I start moving into a body part split. And then I start to move out from that. I already have that next phase in mind, right? The beauty of this is if I've got a program and I'm like hammering the volume and I start to see someone get tendonitis or DOMS, I already have a strength phase ready to go. The personalization isn't writing the next program. The personalization is when do I pull the trigger on the program I've already written? And that personalization now is half a second's worth of work, not hours of work. I create a template and I got I'm working with James, right? And he's got massive fucking quads because he does have massive quads, right? But and I hope you don't mind me saying this, I think there's some bit of work on his lats we could do. So I've got a body part split that could be front body, back body, target area 1, target area 2. I put no quads in the end of the week and I put more lats at the end of the week. Boom, half a second work, done. We hammer a strength phase for a while. And then James comes to me going, Simon, I'm keep waking up in the middle of the night. I'm a little bit more anxious and I just feel lethargic all the time. Right, we've hammered the intensity too long. Let's do a fucking EDT program or a heavy light program where we can do a tons of volume and just let your nervous system calm down. I'll give you a great example of that. I had a girl that goal wants to be a beastly deadlifter. We got it to 147 kilo deadlift off the floor. Fucking monster. New Zealand girls are always strong as fuck, right? She got this point where she was getting more anxious walking up to the bar. She was freaking out picking it up. And I noticed she was getting sleep disturbances a lot and she was coming in really tired. I just saw that. I was just hammering the nervous system. We did strength for ages. So we did something called escalating density training. Had the template pre-written where I did 6 reps of deadlift, about 60% 1 rep max, 6 reps of incline press. And I went back and forward as many rounds as you can in 20 minutes. So there wasn't a lot of load, but what did it do? It calmed the nervous system down because it was a high volume, low intensity program. So it gave her a deload from strength. It accumulated a lot of volume, so she was still doing a lot of work. And mentally, it got her walking up and picking up the bar without thinking about it. She's against the clock. She hasn't got time to think about the deadlift. So in 3 weeks' time, when her nervous system had calmed down, I put 125 on the bar. Guess what she did? She walked it up, picked it up. The personalization was knowing when to pull the trigger on the next block, not rewriting something from scratch. Paul, any key takeaways from today?
Yeah, a couple of guys have already said it about the periodization thing and going really in depth on the whiteboard. I didn't even realize that's what I needed. until I sent it out and like on the whiteboard. I was like, oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, so and quantifying the results as well, rather than how do you feel, how do you look, how do you feel within yourself, like being able to say, listen, this is where you were at point A, now you're at point B. That's the difference.
And here's a good thing I would say for all of your clients. I wrote this as I'm planning to do it as a post. I'm partly leaning into where is it? Where did I have it? Oh, we go. I was going to make this a post. I'm partly leaning on my own personal struggles at the moment. But a question not asked enough in society is why. In coaching, we should ask why before we give a strategy. In personal goals, we should ask why before we embark on them. In relationships, we should ask why before leaving someone. Intention behind actions always says more than the actions themselves. Now, I wrote that because a lot of times coaches will go, this person can't do steps. Do a walking break, add some cardio. And never go, what is it that you're struggling with? Run me through why this is hard for you. And if you all started asking that question every time you have a client struggle, run me why weekends are tricky. What is it that made the nutrition hard for you this week? They will give you answers that will help you refine your product and that will give you a better indication of how to help them. Coaches are really fucking good at mansplaining. And I'm not just talking about the blokes. Female coaches mansplain as well, right? I know best. I know what's going to help you. Oh, you're struggling with protein? You should try a protein shake. And maybe they struggle with protein because they fucking hate shakes and they're really, really full.
Is it the was it the theory of the 5 whys?
Yeah, Precision Nutrition, John Barali's 5 whys.
Yeah.
And that's great on the initial. That's the initial goal. It's like, because tell me what brought you in here today. Oh, I want to lose some weight. Okay, and tell me why losing weight is important to you. Oh, I just think it'd make me a little bit more confident. Oh, okay. And is confidence something you've always struggled with? Oh yeah, since I was a kid. Oh, okay. And if you don't mind me asking, what was it that started that? I was bullied at school. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. And does that translate into your life today? Yeah, I just feel I'm not showing up in meetings, and I just don't speak my mind enough. And how would it feel if we could change that for you? Oh my God, it'd be fucking game changing. Cool. What would that do to your life? Oh, I think I could probably get more promotions in life, and I'd probably get a bit closer to my coworkers. And right now we have something rather than I want to lose 5 pounds. Great. Is that going to make you go out running in the rain? Or putting down the donut when they brought into the office? No. The why is everything. Same thing with any problem you have, right? There's a great book, if anyone wants to learn this, called The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stainer. It's all about, first question he has, tell me about your week. He just shuts the fuck up and just lets you talk. So there's 2 kinds of questions. There's open questions, closed questions, or 3 types. Open questions, closed questions, this or that questions when it comes to coaching. Right? Told you I over-deliver here. These are stuff that I wasn't planning on saying today. Open questions are when you want to fact find. Someone's not followed plan, and you go, let's say someone's they've been good all week losing weight, and they spike up 2 kilos on Monday, and they've stopped tracking. Rather than going, fuck, man, something on the weekend. You go, hey, John, tell me about the weekend. And then they tell you, it was good. I got up and had a good breakfast.
It's about not responding when they've answered you as well, isn't it? It's
People
about
don't
just
like
staying
silence.
quiet, and they'll just keep telling you and telling you and telling you.
And then ask follow-up open questions, and they slowly get more closed, like a shark that smells blood. I saw this great from Adam Haley, actually, when he was a coach, the OTE guy. And he had this client come in, he goes, hey, Chaz, tell me how your weekend went. He was like, oh yeah, it was good. I got up and had a good breakfast. Okay, cool. And what did you do after that? Oh, I trained, and it was a really good session. Oh, fantastic. And that was it? Just went home after that? Oh, a few boys wanted to go to the cinema. Oh, okay. And what'd you go and see? And he told them the film. Okay, great. And did you eat beforehand? Oh no, I ate there. Oh, okay. And what restaurant did you go to? And you notice how the question started really open and started getting a little bit more closed as we started to navigate into, I know I've got you, right? And he was like, oh, there was only Domino's there. And he's like, okay, which cinema did you go to? He told him the cinema. He goes, oh, I've been to that place. And he Googles it. He goes, there's a Nando's there. There's a salad bar there. Oh, my friends want to go to Nando's. So the friends want to go to Domino's. Okay, cool. Let's look at this. Oh, why didn't you get that on the menu? There's a salad on the menu. And eventually he's dug his own grave to the point and goes, oh, I just wanted the pizza. And it's like, that's okay. I don't mind you wanted the pizza, but just tell me that. That's open questions. Closed questions are when you want to sort of like you've got it and you just start to dig, right? And you want to funnel them down the path because they fucked up. Then you got the this or that question. The this or that question is how you take difficult conversations that you may be scared to have as a coach and be able to bring the client into the conversation. This is using data. So for example, hey, Steve, thank you for checking in. I hope you are doing well. I noticed that we set a goal of losing 0.8 this week, and we're a little bit behind at 0.3. What I'm noticing compared to last week, we've trebled the meals out that we're having per week. So that means there might be a little accuracy issue with the calories that we're tracking. So next week, what could you do to bring these meals out down? Or do we need to refine your target? You're not telling them off. You're not going, stop eating out. You're eating more. Don't eat like a dick. When it comes confrontational, it's, hey, if you want to slow this down because you want to have more social life, that's fine. But just know this is going to get slower. Right? A lot of coaches, when they do the empathy thing, and this is what I was saying to you at the start, it's like, oh, I know it's hard doing steps. Don't worry about it. We'll just hit a 6,000 target because it's what you can do. Oh, I know food prep's hard. Well, let's just work on some delivery restaurants that you can go to. Okay, yeah, no problem. I know you really like chocolate. Well, maybe we'll fit a chocolate bar into your macros. What's the problem with that? Nothing's wrong with what you've said. But what you haven't done is explain that the results may be slower if you put the work down. Bring the work down, bring the goal down. Bring the work up, the goal goes up. Both are fine. If this is a Harry Potter story, our job as coaches is to be Dumbledore. Your client is Harry. They are the hero of this story. So that's the this or that question. I mean, you may need to make adjustments. Hey, Steve, so we've gone through some stuff, and by the look of things, you've absolutely nailed it, but our rate of loss just slowed down because we're a lighter person now. So we're going to need to make an adjustment. So we can either drop this amount of calories, or we can do this much extra activity. What works for you? There's not a magical third option, right? And that's where the this or that question becomes really important. I don't know where we start with that, but hopefully that was useful. Stephen, any key takeaways today or questions?
Yeah, just mainly the, I guess, kind of the action plan. Probably just going through the kind of need, want, provide. Shouldn't's just there, just to kind of like dial in, because trying to fill content in the course, you just kind of probably trying to fill them too much, and actually just going back to kind of what they actually need and want, or what they need from there. And then when it comes to actually finding the client, I think that will help with like their pain points, things like that. You know, what do they need, rather than you just thinking, right, I've got to teach them about everything about calorie tracking, this kind of thing. So yeah, probably simplifying that a little bit.
And that's really important, simplifying what they need, because there's a lot of people that will try and think of what's the thing that my clients need, what do I think they need to get a result? And they're not actually doing the stuff they actually need, right? So I see people go, I need week in out guides, and I need to join the Asset Academy of GraphFit and get 1,400 infographics, and I need to do these professional videos. I need to do an education lab so they understand and they're empowered, and then I need to have a community, and I need to have a VA and a success manager. And okay, cool. Are you doing touch points with them between check-ins? No. Okay, cool. And when was the last time you changed a program? I haven't. Okay, do you talk about training in check-ins? No. Okay, do you have a goal? Do you have a very clear target, what they're achieving? No. And when are they going to achieve the fat loss? Sometime. I'm like, right, before we do all this is nice to have want shit, what's the stuff we needed? So going back to Paul's stuff, what do we notice? Right? Setup. He needs to be able to have some streamlined setup so people get programs quickly and how to communicate. He needs to check in with them, right? Once a week, however you want to do. And he needs to do some form of touch points midweek between check-ins just to make sure clients aren't forgotten about, right? He needs some program design, which could be training and nutrition block that he just updates all these training programs. That is it. The rest of it is like, I know coaches that only do that and are amazing. And you then decide whether I want to spend the rest of my time making fancy documents to be this most amazing, snazzy coach, or you just want to go and spend time with your wife and kids and go, my client's looked after. I don't give a fuck anymore. I have a life too. That's also cool. Not all of you want to be world dominators coaching. Some of you just want to do a really fucking good job and then live for it. Touch points is like in between, like, so I give a check-in on a Monday, instead of waiting until next Monday to speak to you again, it's like, how do I communicate with you between check-ins? So like on Wednesday, how do I follow that? So the 3-point touch point system essentially is I set a goal on Monday. Let's say we set 0.7, right? So this week, Colin, I want you to lose our goal is to lose 0.7 to get under 87 kilos. To do that, we notice here that the reason why you were a little bit behind target last week is that your steps were a little bit behind target. So what can we do to get your steps up a little bit? Oh, I just don't have time for much cardio. Okay, well, and here's another example of that communication style. So how much time do you spend answering emails at work? Oh, probably like 2-3 hours. Okay. And do you have Gmail on your phone? Yeah, I have Gmail on my phone. And at work, do you have to be stuck at your desk or can you move around the office? Oh, I can move around the office. Okay, great. So every 50 minutes, once you've done an hour of deep work, I want you to get up and walk around the office for 10 minutes whilst answering emails on your phone. And then when you do that 7 times, you get 7,000 steps. They can't say that they can't do that because you've pre-qualified all the excuses before you've told them what you want them to do, right? So that's the goal. We set that on Monday. Wednesday, how are you getting on with the walking breaks? Oh, I did it Monday really well, but I struggled on Tuesday. Okay, tell me what was hard on Tuesday. What was it that you struggled with? Oh, my boss just came in and he doesn't let me walk around the office. Okay, so next time, what could we do in that situation? Or maybe I could go for a walk after work. Okay, cool. I want you to try that this week. Let me know how you get on. Then Friday, reflect and review. What went well and what could go better next week? Right, and then you plan for the weekend. Have you got any menus for me that you want me to look at for social occasions and stuff like that? So that's the 3-point touch system. Monday, set the goal. Wednesday, like check in how that goal's doing and adjust. Someone's behind steps because they missed out on the Tuesday. Could you plan a hike on Saturday to make up the average? Yeah, I could do that. Cool. Grab the family, go to the park, play some football. Brilliant. Friday, check in and review. And then check-in comes and you repeat that process again. Does that answer your question, Colin? Will, any key takeaways or any questions?
I think for me, like my communication seems to be a big sticking point. Not that I'm poor with the way I communicate, but maybe the frequency or efficiency of the communication. I think just something I need to pick up on is just being a bit more in the pocket, especially within that first 21-day period. Like you said, like I feel like I probably leave them to their own devices more than I should.
And I did for ages, and that's when people are going to make mistakes. And the last thing you want is to get someone thinking they're on 1,200 calories, not losing weight. You realize they've not tracked 1,000 calories per meal of sauce. True story. And you go, fucking hell, I wish I'd learned that in week 1. 1,000 calories per meal. Yeah, he wasn't sending food pictures. And I eventually was like, right, I need some food pictures because you're a 120 kilo man, right? And you're not losing weight on 600 calories. Bullshit, right? So I was like, can you get some photos? And I went, what's the sauce? He goes, bolognese sauce. I went, are you tracking that? He goes, oh, is there calories in sauce? I went, yeah. Could you track it, please, next time? Yeah, no problem. Next message. Oh my God, I was putting 1,000 calories per meal on my food. How many times are you doing that a day? 3. 3,000 calories unaccounted for. I had a client once that told me she couldn't sleep. And I was like, okay, we did the light thing, we did the wind down, we did the blue light blocking glasses. I was like, when's your last meal? I said, do you have any caffeine? She's like, no, I don't have any caffeine at all. We stopped it at 4 and we stopped it at 12. And I was like, what's going on? I was like, okay, what do you drink then? Oh, just 4 liters of green tea. I was like, do you realize green tea has caffeine in it? Oh, does it? I just thought it was a fat burner. Why do you think it's a fat burner? It's a stimulant. Right? I had a client. When I say client, I mean coach, and I won't necessarily name him, Nathan Johnson, Autonomy, who I helped him with a shoot prep, and he was so worried because he started binging on his diet without telling me. He told me in a confessional email at 1 o'clock in the morning that he was doing 10,000 calorie weekends, and that's why he stopped losing weight. And then he was so worried that he would fuck up his diet on the refeed, the carb up, because we finally, through a bit more extreme dieting, got him shoot ready again, that he did his entire 350 grams of carbohydrates through stir-fried vegetables alone, didn't shit for 3 weeks. Fucked up his shoot prep. These are coaches. And in Nathan's defense, this is when he was brand new to coaching. Nathan's an incredibly, incredibly good coach. But again, so if we're not good at it, registered dietitians are off by like up to 20%. So if registered dietitians are off to 20%, your clients are probably off 50%. Right? Another tip for meals out. If a client is having a meal out often tell them to track the calories that they think is in that, and then add 20% of a meal out buffer. Because you don't know the portion size, you don't know what the person cooks in. So if it's 1,000 calorie meal, it's a 1,200 calorie meal. Right? That's another game-changing thing from that. Right, guys, I know this has been a long one. I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure that you all got value. We're going to be back on tomorrow for the guys that can make it at 9 a.m. If you have any questions, feel free to answer them. I'm not in any crazy rush, but if not, guys, have a fantastic rest of your evening, and I'll catch some of you tomorrow.
Just a very quick one with the link to Facebook group. Where's that?
There is a link to that in the email that you would have gotten last night.
Sweet, perfect.
Awesome, no problem at all. Good, glad it was valuable.
Cheers,
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
How's the sunburn? How's the sunburn from tennis?
Better now. I've still got a little bit of a white mark here.
Let's see.
That's the problem. That's the problem with Wimbledon, right? It got worse when I put sun cream on. I got fucking conned.
I went on Saturday.
Oh, how was it?
Fantastic. Centical.
Oh, you lucky bastard. Yeah, I didn't get that. I just paid
I
for
didn't know until Saturday morning.
Oh, mate, that's epic.
Awesome.
It's an experience, isn't it? Absolute experience.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,